So after we've decided on the size of our bins for our histogram and how many values are going to go into each bin, the next step is to set up the axes of our graph, the x-axis and the y-axis. We're continuing our example from the previous video where we have this grade 12 class that averaged out how much time they're spending on homework each night. And then we've binned that data into 10-minute bins and counted up how many students are in each bin. So now that we know how big the bins are and we know the frequency that end up in each bin, we're ready to choose our x and y axis values. So let's start with the y axis. So you'll remember this is the frequency, or how many values end up in that bin. And what's the spread? Well, the lowest is 1 person in a bin, and the largest is 10. So our y-axis has to go between at least 1 to 10. We'll probably start at 0 and go 0 up to 10. The x-axis is going to be the time in minutes spent on homework. So what's the spread of these values? Well, the smallest bin is 20 minutes, and the largest bin goes up to 69 minutes. And so we need to make sure that our x-axis is able to cover that. Again, we'll probably start at 0 minutes and try to end somewhere around 70 on the x-axis. There's no exact science to creating a graph by hand, so really we've got to use just a little trial and error. So for the y-axis, we have to go from at least 1 up to 10, so we'll probably start at 0. And then what happens if we just count up 1 per line? So 1 frequency per line. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we do that, it only uses up about half the graph. So another option is to count up 2 per line. So I'll do this one in a different color. Let me use black here. So now 1 would be after 2 dashes on the y-axis, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. So now 5 is halfway up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 is at the top. That's perfect. That uses the whole y-axis, so let's go with that. For the x-axis, we have to have 10-minute bins, so we need 10 minutes every so many dashes. So we could start by trying every 2 dashes. We put a bin. I'll do this one in blue. So, what does our x-axis have to be? Does it have to start at 0? Well, no, because if we go 0 to 9 for a bin, there's not going to be any data points. And then even from 10 to 19, there's not going to be any data points. There's not going to be any data points until we get from 20 to 29. So let's say we start from 10 to 19, so that one will be empty, but the next bin will have data points. So 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69. Well, that uses up more than half the graph, so we could go with that. But one other option is to actually go every 3 lines as a bin. So that would be 10 to 19, and then 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and then 60 to 69. That actually works even a little bit better because it uses up a little more of the graph. Either would be fine options, but we're going to go with the red choice here. Now, before we get to putting the final touches on our axes and our graph, remember to label each axis. So that's going to be frequency and time, and title the graph. Let's go through these finishing touches here on the next slide. So I'll start with a title. The title is just grade 12 homework. There's a lot of good titles you could choose. It doesn't have to be this one. You could have time spent on homework, or Mrs. Wall's grade 12 class homework, something like that. But this is a good title here. And then what we're going to do is set up our axes. So we decided that every 2 dashes would be 1 on the y-axis. So I'm not going to label every single dash. I'm just going to label 5 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this axis is frequency. So I've labeled my axis. The y-axis is done. On the x-axis, it's going to be, we said every 3 dashes would be a bin of 10. So I'm just going to make some marks at every 3 along the x-axis. And we said the first bin would start 10 to 19. We didn't have to start back at 0, so we won't. And then the next one, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and then 60 to 69. Now we could also label those dashes at 20, 30, 40, etc. But I think that it's nice to get that clarity if we have the time to do it, and just write out exactly how big each bin is and what the last value is in each bin and what the first value is in each bin. I just think it avoids any possible questions that way.